Welcome to week 5 of the Week's Goal Line Report podcast. It's summertime here. Football season's wrapping up with the UFL and in high gear with the Continental Football League. So we've got a few things here that we could talk about along with what's going on in the NFL today. Sam, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
So I think that the big thing obviously is the championship. We've been talking the last few weeks and watching how it built up, and we actually got to see how that played out this last weekend. So I
Yeah.
think that's probably the main topic for today, I'd say. What happened? What was the result? How'd it go?
Um, so it was Louisville versus DC, and it looked like DC had it for a while. I mean, it was 16-7, but Louisville came back and they won it 27-20. They had some good rushes in there from like Ian Wheeler, I think. And that kind of sealed the game. There was this shoulder injury from Jason Bean that sidelined him for like most of the game. So DC had to put in EJ Perry, who
Yeah.
was pretty notoriously bad with the Memphis Showboats last season. He didn't play too bad. He threw two interceptions, but
Yeah, and so I think uh, that sums it up pretty well. So defensive battle,
yeah,
not a lot of big scoring, a lot of field goals, uh, turnovers, even a defensive touchdown, and then a couple running plays where they broke off big chunks. I wonder if each of those was like short yardage where they were bringing a bunch of men in, and once they got past that first level, it was just kind of daylight for the savings.
yeah,
So I think that may have been how those plays came to be what they were. But yeah, so like you said, DC, they shut them down for a while offensively, and it jumped up to that 16-7 lead. And at that point, the only touchdown by Louisville was a fumble return for a touchdown. So, like, the offense was not doing anything. I think that the Louisville quarterback that we really had a lot of high praise going in, but he didn't really move the ball that well in the first half. And then, like you mentioned, second half, the game is getting really close, and then Bean goes down for uh, for DC.
yeah.
And do you think if he had been in there, do you think they win that game if he hadn't gone out?
Um, there's a chance, but EJ Perry didn't do that bad. I mean, he held up pretty well. It's just Louisville kind of rallied. Um, I think there was a combined like less than 150 passing yards in the game between the three QBs.
Yeah, I was looking. I saw that Rogers had less, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bean and Perry did too. Yeah, so that's really how that game played out. It was pretty entertaining, pretty close, but not too much as far as the passing games would go, I'd say there. Um, but yeah, so the season's wrapped up, and we'll be watching the off season, seeing how things go at Oklahoma City. You also mentioned a couple of other, trademarks for teams that they had, worked on acquiring the rights for too. Which ones were those?
So they were working on getting the LA Express, Outlaws, and Bulls. So just a little into this. So the LA Express was a 1980s USFL team. It was one of like the biggest ones because then there weren't like any NFL teams in LA. I think. Might need to fact check that one. But yeah, it was pretty big there, and it was like a big rival. So yeah, all these. It was like kind of like a direct competitor to the NFL in the 80s. They had like the New Jersey Generals
Hmm.
and all this like non-NFL markets. They did have some, and but yeah, they were fighting for players and salaries and coaching staff, and it was just a very big battle then. Did not result in a merger though. Um, but then we have the Outlaws, which were They played for one season in Oklahoma. They're the Oklahoma Outlaws. They didn't they weren't that good, I think. And then they merged with the Arizona Wranglers and became the Arizona Outlaws.
So this is probably just a move just to protect their interests and keep their options open if they want to pursue any of those, that they'll already have things lined up is kind of how that sounds. Um, so I think we'll talk about a few different subjects and where we're jumping from league to league. It's we're just going to be shifting gears here. But I think one of the other things that we saw recently that was kind of unfortunate, well, it definitely was unfortunate, was the passing of Alden Smith, former NFL player who passed away at the age of 36. So that was an unfortunate event.
Yeah,
And I know we when we talked about it a little bit, you weren't as familiar with him, just kind of like before you started following the NFL. So I thought we, would take a minute just to remember, who he was on the field. He is a player that kind of was a lot like lost potential. He had some off-field issues that really derailed his career. But I just want to let you know kind of how he was on the field, and then we can remember him for that success that he had, and then
okay.
we can go on from there.
Gotcha,
So
thanks.
this dude, he was drafted in the first round out of Missouri, 2011, and to San Francisco, to the 49ers. And when he did, like that immediately elevated their defense. There was a stretch during that time frame where the 49ers were highly successful and like in the playoffs, made it to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, all that thing. He actually had 14 sacks as a rookie. So
Wow.
like he really just came on and dominated. Um, then, you know, franchise record in 2012, he had 19 and a half sacks. So, like, he really just exploded those first two seasons and was just like an incredible, like, dominant force.
Yeah,
He went on to miss time due to injuries and off-field issues where he got suspended and stuff like that. But really just showed that what he was capable of. And so I just thought it was, take worth mentioning that.
yeah,
Um,
agree.
they don't really know what happened, but it looks like, they found that he had passed away in his car after delivering pizzas to homeless people for, like a charity. So it seems like even out of the spotlight that was something he was still working to do is give back to the community. So you got to give him some respect for that too.
For sure.
But yeah, so I just thought we'd take a minute to mention him because there was a few years where he was just such a big force. We talked about a few other things too that were worth mentioning. Is there a certain one that you wanted to focus on here next?
We can just talk about the supplemental draft if you want. With that going on.
Yeah, supplemental draft. That's not something that we see very often. Most years, it's not even a thing, um, or not with as highly regarded a player as we're currently seeing. I think this is really the first one that you've, seen or really, um, you know, been worthy of note. The last time a player was drafted was to the Cardinals, with the fifth round pick. So even then, it was kind of a later round talent. I mean, there were some noteworthy players, like the Giants, picking up a cornerback, Sam Beal, in 2018. The Browns picking out Josh Gordon back in
Oh
2012.
wow.
And then the Raiders' Terrell Pryor in 2011. So those were some
Yeah.
noteworthy ones. But yeah, so it's a really drama-filled situation going on with that. Have you followed it pretty closely at all?
I I've seen some stuff about it. I mean, there's a lot that I watch in the world of football, so I am very well covered, I'd say, in a lot of things, but it's a little. iffy here for me, I guess. I don't know like everything about it, but I do think what's his name, like Brendan Sorsby?
Yeah, Brennan Sorsby. So this is, a highly regarded college quarterback that's, supposed to be prominent if he continued his college career. Like he would be one of the most highly regarded ones, and with the potential for the NFL. And so it came out that he's been gambling
Yep.
on sports. And so that's really one of the worst things that you can do that really compromises the integrity of the game. So there's been a lot of
It
backlash.
does not help your career. That is for sure.
No, no, it doesn't. And um, it's very concerning because in this day and age, like the teams really try and teach the players how dangerous that is, how important it is to avoid that. And so to just disregard that and still, get that involved in it, I think that's definitely a concerning character issue for a position that's supposed to be the leader in the face of your team.
Wasn't he on Cincinnati, like the Bearcats?
Yeah, he played for Cincinnati. He played for Indiana, and it was at that time that he bet on his team to win, I believe. So my question is this: so the supplemental draft. So he's, basically he tried to go to Texas Tech, but it just is that's not going to work out. And so supplemental draft, he's gonna see if an NFL team will pick him up. So there's the talent there. There's the talent, but there's a couple things I think that make this a hard decision. One, obviously the character concerns. And then two, this coming draft is one of the biggest drafts, anticipated to have so many good players. So if you're doing the supplemental draft, you're giving up one of those picks. So if you're looking at a player with questionable character and what you could miss out on, like, do you take the risk? Like, how do you feel about this? What do you think is going to happen here?
I think he probably will get like taken, probably to some place like the Jets for like a six rounder or something. Um, I'm not really aware with available picks for each team. I'm not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
that's
into
true.
it with that, like the draft stuff. But yeah, you could see some teams looking into that. Like it's hard because most teams have a decent starter and backup. Like it'd be hard to see someone like Washington or Las Vegas picking him up. With like Fernando and Cousins and
Yeah, I think it'll be a third pick or later. I'd be surprised if someone is willing to give up a first or second, which doesn't mean they won't. But I think
well, the Jets are dumb
that
enough.
would be a big risk. I think the Jets would be a good uh, uh, team to say has that possibility. So I'd say that they're one of the more likely teams. Possibly the Browns.
Oh, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not to, but
I
I
am
think there's that possibility.
completely fine with our
Um,
four QBs.
but yeah, I think that's a possibility. Um, what do you think about betting on sports as a player?
As a player, it's completely wrong, I'd say. Because oh no. It's just it's just not the right like mindset, I'd say. Like, didn't they already add like NIL money? So like why are you playing and you get money and you're betting so you can get even more money?
Yeah, I think at that point that it may not be so much for the money as much as
It's fun.
the excitement,
Yeah.
like the risk, like the adrenaline that it gives you, and that risk and that reward, I think is addictive, and I think it's more of that. But I think that when you're betting on what you're doing, I think that's just where you compromise so much, and I think it's an unfortunate situation, but I don't think that that there's a place for that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of something we'll see here soon. Definitely interesting to see what happens with that, and I think someone will take a risk, but I hope it's not any of the teams that I root for.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. I think on to some better news. One of the things, we've really talked about since we started this in the off season for the NFL,
Yeah.
has been so much of the UFL. It's really been one of our main focuses. And it's cool to see now that the season is ended, how many of those players are getting chances with NFL teams.
I hope it works out for some of them
Yeah, and
because I love spring football, but I don't want them to be stuck in the place where they don't want to be their whole life.
yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be a league that propels them on to greater things from there, to
Yeah.
give players a chance to you know to
Or a
to
second chance.
yeah,
Players like
a
Matt
lot of
Corral.
players. Yeah, a lot of these players, may have had a chance and, d didn't get it right the first time, but don't want to give up yet. And so the second opportunity, is just as big. Um, I think there's a lot of great examples of that. But yeah, so we could do a rundown here there's like a 12 players I think that have been signed to different teams. So when you look at these names, what's the first one that really jumped out to you there?
Well, obviously Hakeem Butler from the St. Louis Battlehawks. I mean, he's 6'5" and like 242 pounds, and he's going to the Broncos. So I think he had time on 5 different teams, like practice squads, including like the Cardinals, Steelers, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But he only played like a few preseason games, like one or two.
I think he's played in 2 games. Yeah, at the NFL level. But yeah, so with how he's performed for St. Louis the last 2 years, I think that's a well-earned opportunity. I think he's 30 now, so he might have a
Yeah,
smaller window. But if he can, get a couple years in, I think he has the chance to be productive. And maybe, if maturity was an issue before, maybe that's something that he's more well prepared, to to be the player that he needs to be
I
now.
mean, like he just won Offensive Player of the Year. I think for the second time in a row this year and last year. So I mean, he just had to play with like 3 starting QBs, and all of them did really bad. But he just won Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And he was leading the league, I
Can
think.
you imagine how St. Louis's offense would have struggled without him?
Oh, they would have not even made the playoffs.
Yeah,
That's a guarantee.
he,
Like, I don't care how good the defense is. You need to have a competent offense. Like, same thing with Houston. Like the Texans, if like they don't pull it together, I don't. They could miss the playoffs. Like with the running back room, CJ, wide receivers, like O line. Like, come on.
yeah, yeah. But let's look at a few other names. One that jumped out to me was from the team we follow most, Columbus. Tony Fields the second, a
Yes.
linebacker on the defense, going to the Chicago Bears. So I think that's pretty cool to see. I think that, Chicago Bears linebackers are legendary, so that's a pretty cool opportunity to do that. And then there's actually a couple more aviators too that go to different teams. Um, Jacoby Windman, and then
Chris Glazer.
yeah. So offense and defensive line going to a couple teams there.
Yeah.
Not our favorite teams, but to the Steelers and the Cowboys. So that's something that we'll be seeing there. Another thing that I thought was kind of interesting is
Oh wow.
The two of the Louisville Kings wide receivers.
Oh wow. So Lucky Jackson, honestly, he's one of my favorite wide receivers in the league. I remember watching the first game, like Louisville and Birmingham. He scored the first ever Louisville Kings touchdown. He dove for that end zone. He got that touchdown. He's played for a few other teams. I think he played for DC last season. But I'm so glad to see him getting a chance. I did not see this yet, and he's going to Detroit, so
And then
keeping up with them.
the also Tariq Black also trying
Oh
out with the
wow,
Lions. So they'll
they're going together.
so they'll have some familiarity with each other, probably both competing for a small number of roles there
Reps.
with the team, but that
Yeah.
increases the likelihood that at least one or the other will get picked up. But yeah, those are some of the names I think that really jump out
Um,
to us.
I
Uh,
wanted to I wanted to point out for just a second Major Burns.
mhm.
I I the team I've kept up the least with is Houston. I'm not very interested in what they have going on, but some some of the games that I did watch, Major Burns was a massive part of the game. I think I watched a game and he got two interceptions, and I was just like, wow, because he was like, it's funny, but he was like burning them like on a major level. Um, like he definitely helped in the games that he played. It doesn't really matter if Houston didn't make the playoffs. They did pretty solid at the end of the year. They kept up and they eliminated Birmingham,
There, yeah,
which
yeah, they did.
I'm very happy about.
Yeah, so he was an impact player for the Gamblers, and I think well, they also had Caden Davis. So those were and Amir Speed, a cornerback. So they had a couple that got some notice with their tape there. I think one of the things that's interesting is 12 players and five of them wide receivers. So I think that's one of the things teams are looking for out there is some wide receiver depth.
I'm surprised Miami
Um,
didn't take all of them.
yeah, that
That would definitely boost them. I
yeah,
mean, I don't know about
that should have been something that they were looking at there. Yeah, that's kind of slacking on their part probably.
yeah,
But
Washington and Tutu Atwell are definitely gonna lead them to the playoffs.
so yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I did also notice that one of the things I thought, and maybe you did too, or maybe not, was that a few of the kickers really made a name for themselves. But I don't see any of those signed to any teams yet.
Yeah, we could wait. I mean, some kickers, like the UFL, is very either you're a very good kicker or you're very bad. Like with Ryan
Hmm.
Coe and Thieker with Dallas. I'm surprised he didn't get cut. But yeah, you could see some of the players like Tanner Brown and Matt McCrane getting a shot. I mean, they both just made the United Bowl.
Hmm.
And you could see Jonah Dalmas, but he hasn't played a full season with Columbus, so I want to see him play. Yeah, but he nailed that 60-yard field goal, like 61-yarder. Um, but yeah, I don't really know where there are horrible kickers. Maybe the Giants could pick one up. I know that is.
I'll tell you, one of in the NFL, the position that has the shortest leash is is the kicker position. Like if you have two or three bad games, or maybe even just one, um, they'll let you go.
Yeah,
And
so I'd say spring football, its most prominent position going into the NFL is definitely kickers. I mean, the USFL had Brandon Aubrey,
mhm.
and they also had Jake Bates.
Yeah, so I think with how short the leash is, that with somewhere or another, a kicker is going to struggle, and one of these guys is going to get their shot. So I think that we will see him at some point
Yeah,
get a chance to make a team. So yeah, so that's exciting to see how the UFL has developed these players and kind of gotten them ready for another chance at the NFL. Um, I think that that's most of what we wanted to cover, but the other thing that we'll probably wrap up with was just what's been going on with the Continental Football Leagues. That's the league that currently is playing. So,
So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But the first game was the debut of the Ohio Valley Ironmen, which obviously we will support
mhm.
as our team. And it was very exciting to see them beat Cincinnati Dukes on the road, 35-7. I don't know if the Dukes are gonna be that good. I mean, they beat the Kentuckiana Cavalry, but they lost to Indy Bison and Ohio Valley Ironmen. I mean, Indy's a sanctioned team. Like it's odd. Um, so Ohio Valley is 1-0 and Cincinnati is 1-2. And then moving down to the south, San Antonio beat Tall City 59 to nothing, where I think the smallest amount San Antonio scored in a game is the week 1 opener against Texas where they scored 24 points.
Mhm.
But they have not allowed a single point. They are 3-0 and the best team in the league by far. I mean, we could see if Ohio Valley can step it up, but for right now it is definitely the Toros.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're exactly right. The biggest story right now is how long can San Antonio keep this scoreless streak together? How long can their defense continue to shut out their opponents? Like, it's not just will they win, but how much will they win by? Because they really are looking extremely dominant. And in Ohio Valley, that's a great start, with, their win against Cincinnati. I'm sure they're hoping to be rivals up here in the north. Um, but San Antonio has had a chance to play more and really shown that over a stretch of games. Ohio
Yeah.
Valley, we'll see if they can continue that. But San Antonio's definitely established that tone, like you said, as the best team in the league right now.
Um, so, there are like 5 teams right now, 2 in the north, 3 in the south. I mean, we started with 8, with Michigan and Indianapolis going down in the north and Fort Worth going down in the south. Um, but we're gonna look and see if, so basically Norfolk is gonna be a team. They're sanctioned right now. Um,
So at this point, we're talking about next season.
yes. So, Norfolk will get their team in, Norfolk, Virginia. So the Norfolk Neptunes will be a regular team up north. But the league is also looking at the Vegas Gamblers, which is a sanctioned North team right now, and looking to add back the Michigan Arrows, which I've seen stuff where they are keeping um and helping with the coaching staff. Like they're keeping up with them and making sure everything's going right with them, and they're like search for a suitable venue. So I saw something where it's basically guaranteed that Fort Worth and Indianapolis are gone.
Indianapolis
Yeah.
for next
So
season.
I could be wrong, but I saw something that said that they were gone and they won't come back probably. Which does suck. I was very excited to see Indianapolis and Fort Worth. Those were 2 of my 3 favorite teams, so that very much sucks. But
Yeah,
this happens.
it's tough with minor leagues. There is so much constant change. So and what we're saying today, by the time next season rolls around, it could be completely different, 180-degree turn. So it's really hard to see that far in the future. But there's definitely, things that they're trying to plan for
Yeah,
and put together there. Um, and I think the one thing is if the league survives this year and they do have a season next year, I think we will see, they'll try and fill the holes and bring in some more teams. And those definitely sound like the best candidates right now. And we'll see if they're actually able to get off the ground or how that goes. Um, with that, I think we've only got a couple minutes left here, but let's look ahead to how the next week's game is going to be.
so
So
week 4.
Toros they're going to play again. They're going to rematch against the Syndicates. And then the Tall City Black Gold, they're going to play Texas Herd.
Hmm.
So they're going to get a game in there. I think that they'll actually have a chance to win this one, so that's good for them. And then I think the big question for San Antonio is not if they'll win, but how much they'll win by. So I'll ask you this. Uh, First, how much do you think that they'll beat the Syndicate by?
Um, we very much could see the Syndicate scoring, but I'm gonna say it's gonna be 31 to nothing.
31 to nothing. So I would lean in that same direction.
Yeah,
I think that the Syndicate gave it their best shot last time. I think that the Toros are probably going to win by more this time. So
ab
I would say something like 28 to 0 or like I said 31.
above
Um,
20, less than 50.
but so your prediction, you did include the 0 for the Syndicate. So that was going to be my next question. Do you think they'll be able to score? And so are you thinking that the Toros continue this shutout streak that they're on right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna say so. I mean, they are playing in a very I want to say easy division, but both divisions look to be pretty easy for San Antonio. They could just not allow a single point all season and like win the whole thing, like the championship and everything.
That would certainly be an incredible feat if they are able to do that.
Looking like Miami.
I think it's the biggest story in the Continental Football League right now, and something that we should get behind and watch and see what they're able to do and celebrate their success and their dominance. Um, but yeah, so I think just winding down a bit, I think we've covered a lot of the main things. And I think now with the UFL season ending too, I think we're kind of running into the real dead season as far as football goes
Yeah.
until like the end of July when teams come back to training camp. So I think we're going to have to get creative the next few weeks
Oh, you're gonna have to get creative.
on what to talk about here.
I I've been watching football. I've been watching Arena. I've been watching Canada, which I gotta tell you, Canada has been so good recently. Every game's come down to the wire. I even saw Edmonton get a win, which is very shocking for me. Um, but yeah, I watched some Europe too. That league's been both of them have been looking pretty good. But yeah, I'm gonna keep up with those. You can you can check if you want, but you don't seem like someone who likes international ball.
I mean, it's not that I'm against that. It's more just
Are you not used to it?
no. It's more like the higher quality leagues are the most interesting to follow. The the more watered down or less skilled it is, the less compelling it
I
is.
mean,
Um, and that's just with any sport. You know, minor leagues are that way. And so I'm not as drawn to it. I think, you know, there could be a few things for us to make note of. Um,
I mean Canada's been looking really good, very professional. I
yeah,
mean,
and I'll give them credit. They have certainly established themselves as the second best league in North America. Setting aside college, but but
QFL.
um, but they have definitely been successful and they've found a way to thrive themselves. So I'll give them credit for that. Um, but yeah, I think we'll have to get a bit creative with what we're looking at. I think it's too early to do any kind of predictions. So I probably wouldn't look at that until maybe next month or so. So yeah, we'll have to see what we can talk about. But I think that's going to wrap it up here for today, at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're putting out the podcast. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Check us out on YouTube there. We want to get out there and share our fun podcast here. So yep, give us a follow.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, everyone. See you next week.